in June of this year, the Supreme Court rejected Trump's attempt to end DACA. And that's got to be one of the things that's also on the table now.
Yeah. Yes. And in fact, the court didn't even say that they left open the opportunity for Trump to reinstitute the elimination of DACA. So you have a very conservative court. They call themselves, the majority now call themselves originalists. They have to figure out what the founding fathers, no women, what they thought the Constitution should protect. And so she's an originalist, and then she has a very outlier view of the role of precedent. And as a justice, if she deems that her reading of the Constitution doesn't comply or does not agree with precedent, then no precedent is safe. So there are just so many issues, not to mention, we have a very divided country, and we cannot continue in this way. And your father, you said he would be appalled to see what's happening in our country and the divisiveness that this administration continues to perpetuate. And we need a leader who will bring us together, who will take care of the pandemic, who will get the pandemic under control so that we can address not just the healthcare crisis, but also the economic crisis that so many of our communities face, as well as the systemic racism in our country and global climate change that, this administration and this president goes the opposite direction of what we need to be facing and dealing with.
Yeah. I talk a lot about how we need an immigration system that is humane and just.
Yeah.
I know that you... Right.
Yes.
I know that you've been at this a lot longer than I have in trying to dream up what a humane and just immigration system should look like. And so I want you to share that dream with us. What happens after the election if things go in a positive direction? What can people look forward to?
If it's President Biden and Vice President Harris, we're going to have a humane immigration policy that I hope will put family unity as a guiding principle, because as an immigrant myself, I know how important having our family here with us to enable us to succeed in a whole new country where we don't even speak the language or know the customs. So family unity as a guiding principle. And obviously there needs to be a path to citizenship for the 11 million plus undocumented people in our country. We need to protect DACA. We need to provide language access for immigrant communities and families, and with healthcare as a right, not a privilege. That's all tied together, in my view, the kind of humane immigration policies. Immigrants need access to healthcare. Immigrants should have a path to citizenship. Immigrants should have be able to call our families to be with us, to enable us to truly be happy and succeed in a new country. And we should welcome immigrants. We should provide asylum, that is provided under international and our own laws. And so we have a broken system, and it's very inhumane. And of course, one of the first things I hope Joe Biden would do is to find the parents of the 545 children whose parents can't be found. In my own family, when my mother brought the two older kids, me and my older brother, she had to leave my younger brother, who was only 3, because there would be nobody in this country to take care of him while she went to work to support us. And that separation caused trauma to my little brother that he struggled with all of his life. And so I know what family separation does, what it can do. And you can imagine these children that were ripped from their parents' arms, the trauma that they're undergoing. And now 545 of them, we can't even find their parents. See, this is just unconscionable.
Yeah. And, he also, in a very sad way, sort of laughs at the values and the principles that we carry as a nation. Yes. when he talks about proudly how he zeroed out the refugee program.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who came here because of the refugee resettlement program, I know how that is a painful thing to watch as a nation, and how that translates something we are not to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And getting an opportunity really to have an immigration policy that is a really good translation of what our principles and values are as a nation, in itself is a starting point that we could all be proud of.
Yes.
Because there's just been so much damage done. If it's not for the metering program, it's the family separation program, it's canceling out the refugees, it's ending the family reunification.
Yes.
I mean, it is the gamut, right? It's, having ICE officials terrorize communities. It is really a complete contrast to every which way we see ourselves as a nation.
And I think that President Trump really revealed the major fault lines in our country. We've never dealt with the issue of racism in our country, and the misogyny, and all of those issues he's brought to the fore, because clearly they were always present in our country, but he has given voice to all of these resentments and anger. And so we are going to need to figure out over time how to bring our country together. And I'm not being Pollyanna about it, because you can't have 40% or so of the country being so angry that they would continue to vote for somebody like Trump, who will do absolutely nothing to improve their lives.
Okay.
But he speaks to their anger, resentments, and fear of people like you and me.
Yeah, it's how do we go about really changing the societal outlook.
Yes.
And how do we create an environment where people recognize that our destinies are tied together? That when you are struggling, your neighbor, regardless of what their race, religion is might also be struggling. And uplifting one another uplifts all of our communities. It uplifts us as a nation.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And I think that those of us who are immigrants, who came to this country hoping for a better life, to have the opportunity to be able to do that, and to see how hard it is now to get an education, for example, to afford education. Education is a great equalizer. And when it's out of the reach of so many people, then we need to address that. We need to change that. And I would expect the next president to have people who actually are in positions that promote what the agency is supposed to be doing. You're supposed to have an environmental protection agency that protects the environment, not help us pollute the
Cuts
environment.
regulations.
You need an education secretary who actually cares about public schools.
Yeah.
And so it runs the gamut. And I've never seen anything this bad. and one person can really, turn the tide for an entire nation. Where I have friends who live in other countries, and they look at us and they're sorry for us.
Yeah. I mean, I think for a long time we've talked about how it is not one person that has the ability to destroy everything we hold dear. But we have seen that with this president, that it is possible that one person can, one person can do it. Yeah.
When he has people who don't question, you have an entire Republican establishment. I don't know what happened to their values, nowhere to be found by and large. And then you have an attorney general who views himself as his personal lawyer. And so it's just all across the board. I call it the moral dead zone. that surrounds the president, and anyone who comes near him, do not expect to change him. He will change you, and suddenly you're kowtowing to him and his values. So we have a chance to change the trajectory of our country in only a few days. And I think the fact that millions of people are standing in line, it gives me a lot of hope, Ilhan, that that's